others. Donnie Brooks, if that's your real name, bless you. If it's not, it's a great screen name. Has an interesting question that I can relate to, especially here in California, especially here in Sherman Oaks, especially here in my particular neighborhood, because I do late-night shopping at CVS Pharmacy, which is not far down the street from me, and we've already run into this situation. Donnie Brooks says, the other day at a retail store, a cashier asked if a man wanted a plastic bag. He said no, and added that soon they'll be illegal anyway. Interrupting Donnie Brooks' question here, they're illegal in Sherman Oaks since the stroke of midnight on January 1st, 2014. You can no longer get plastic bags for stuff. If you've got something that condenses, like cold milk or something like that, it has to go in a paper bag. They can't assume that you want a paper bag. This is how ridiculous this state is. They are required by law to ask you if you would like to purchase a bag for 10 cents. And when I go shopping at Whole Foods across the street, I have to ask, they have to ask me every single time, would you like to purchase a paper bag? Yes. I think I might need two. We might need to double bag it. You know why? Because paper bags are useless. That's why they're useless. The thin ones they're useless. Once again, we forget how great life is. Those plastic bags you could literally easily carry more than you physically could carry. And these things won't break. They carry tons of weight. It doesn't matter if it's wet, they don't care. Those little plastic bags are awesome. But you can't buy them anymore, not here in Sherman Oaks anyway. Instead of putting them in landfills, which are remarkably efficient ways of getting rid of garbage, if anybody's ever flown from Los Angeles just to Phoenix, there is a hell of a lot of open space out there. You can bury these plastic bags in just fine. Why do I give future anthropologists something to find and something cool to look at? But no, we have to go to paper bags. Anyway. So he said, soon they'd be illegal anyway. So I started to mention, this is Donnie Brooks speaking, how inconvenient that was. And this guy gave me the standard liberal reasons it'll be fine, and I shot them down, and he said, well, it'll all be fine once we change our behavior. My question is, how did people from a nation that once started a war over tea taxes turn into a nation of people okay with having our behavior forcibly modified, and can we get our rebel spirit, hell no attitude back? By the way, I'm from Texas. If Texas is lost, there's no hope left. I couldn't agree with that last sentence any more than I do. It's so refreshing to go to Texas or other places like Montana where you're just allowed to do things. People often ask me why I live in L.A. I live in L.A. because of this. This is why I live in L.A. If I was living in Texas, I wouldn't know that we were in this kind of trouble until it was too late. Now I get to know about it first. What's really going on here? First of all, the people that made this law, or certainly the people that wrote the law, don't do a lot of grocery shopping. They have their people do grocery shopping. Secondly, if my experience in line in Sherman Oaks has anything to do with it, this is the kind of law that sounds great. We're going to eliminate plastic bags because they're choking seabirds and they're floating around out in the ocean in these giant islands of floating plastic bags. So we're going to eliminate them. It's going to be great for the environment. And people go, hey, that sounds great. Yeah, we're Californians. We're real progressive about this. Absolutely. Let's get rid of them. They're terrible. But like Obamacare and everything else, now you have to live with the fact that what used to seem like a cool idea, plastic bags gone, now you have to deal with these paper bags that literally split and fall apart. You can't hold them. You can't grab 25 of them at the same time because they just don't have handles like that. You got to hold them like this, and you got to kind of cradle them. You remember what it was like having to take paper bags up from the car, and you had to make 15 trips. Now you can just grab all the plastic you can literally lift. So people are starting to get the consequences of their vote, and everybody I've ever seen in the lines with the plastic gone and the paper bags are genuinely upset about it. And I get violent about it sometimes. It's like I will just start muttering like a madman. It's like, this is the stupidest law in the world. But more to the question is, how do you get that spirit back? And I think, look, you have to, I've said this 100 times, people have to have the consequences of the socialism they're voting for. You want this kind of socialism? Swell. If you want to eliminate clothing and say that nylon is killing the earth, then you can pass laws and legislate that we'll all have to wear grass skirts and thongs. But the reason that the authentic, natural, honest, close to nature people in the third world, in the Amazon, the reason when you fly over those places and you see them and they're wearing cotton T-shirts and they're wearing like gym shorts is because cotton T-shirts are much nicer to wear than leaves. And so are gym shorts. Leaves are not fun to wear. Leaves are itchy and they chafe. So, what's really going on is people are voting for what they think should be right. They're voting for what they're told should be right. And once again, it's this unearned moral superiority. I voted for paper bags instead of plastic. I'm saving the planet. You're not saving the planet. The planet's going to be here long after you're gone. There's plenty of ways that you can dispose of plastic bags perfectly safely, and we were doing most of them. Right? You're not saving the planet. You're just making life inconvenient for everybody. You miserable, low-life student council weenie. Why don't you leave people alone? Why can't you just leave us alone? If you don't want to use plastic bags, fantastic. So what they're trying to do when they say, would you like to purchase a paper bag for 10 cents? They're required by law to say that, because what they're really trying to do is to get you to use these reusable bags. See, then you don't have to throw away anything. And they sell these nice reusable bags, and they're made out of canvas. And people have been reusing these reusable bags, and they have to bring them with you. You have to have them with you all the time. And the great thing about this makes me so happy, is that what they're finding out now is that when you reuse these reusable bags that are so good for the environment, guess what happens? All of the germs and all of the bacteria that were in the food when you first took it in have been fermenting in that bag for the entire time that it's sat there unrefrigerated, is now in the bag, and you put your new food into this reusable bag, and all of that bacteria gets on the new food, and it goes up and it adds new bacteria, and that ferments for a while. And it turns out that these reusable bags are a serious health problem. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. Honestly. What do we do? I just don't know what to do. You just have to let people have this stupid law, and then you have to repeal it. I get the feeling that if somebody comes along and says, can we stop this nonsense now? We have our plastic bags back, please. I think that person will win in a landslide. Donnie Brooks. I really do. In terms of teaching that attitude, it's indoctrination, right? Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to set their thermometer to, 51 degrees in the winter and 88 degrees in the summer. Nobody wants to drive these little puny, ridiculous little toy cars. Nobody wants to do any of this stuff. It's drilled into their head by the social progressive engineers from the time they're in kindergarten till the time they're out of college. Drilled into their heads. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Why? Why is it the right thing to do? Why are getting rid of paper bags, plastic bags, the right thing to do? Because they're bad for the environment? Says who? They'll eventually biodegrade. You bury them in the ground, they'll biodegrade over the course of 10 years or 100 years. Who cares? Who cares? What if it takes 1,000 years? Who cares? You're not going to be in that landfill poking around. Somebody someday is going to want to know how we live. There's our big chance. Now, to the degree that it's floating out in the ocean and causing the death of marine life, well, then that's something that you might want to look at seriously, so make sure it doesn't. There are garbage collectors. It's not like people are running down to the beach to chuck these bags into the ocean. Why don't we just fix that problem? If they're coming out the sewers, then why don't we just fine people for chucking plastic bags down the sewers? Why don't we put like a little grate or something at the end of the sewers and clean that grate every hour or two? And then the rest of us can carry our groceries to our house conveniently and in sanitary fashion. How awful would that be? I've got a hoard of plastic bags now for my cat litter box. It's a gigantic stash up in the top thing. I've got about 200 of them. And I'm just waiting for the market value to go up, because once it does, I'm going to be able to charge $60, $70 for each one of those things. And then we'll see